The Grand Heights banquet hall buzzed with chatter and clinking glasses. I adjusted my simple black dress, taking a steadying breath before approaching the main table. My father, Richard, was holding court at its center, celebrating his retirement. I smiled, reaching for the empty chair saved for family. His hand shot out, clamping down on the chair's back. The conversation around us died. "Peggy," he said, his voice loud and clear. "This seat isn't for you. You didn't earn a place at the main table." A hot wave of humiliation crashed over me. My stepmother, Valerie, offered a thin, satisfied smirk from beside him. I froze, my hand hovering in the air as every guest's eyes burned into my skin. Before I could form a word, the event host's voice boomed from the microphone. "Excuse the interruption, folks. We need to clarify a reservation. Who reserved the VIP section under the name Peggy Thompson?" A stunned silence swallowed the room. My father barked a dismissive laugh. "There's your mistake," he announced to the host. "She couldn't afford that." The host, a sharp-eyed woman named Lena, checked her tablet. "No mistake, sir. The VIP lounge and its 5-course dinner were reserved and prepaid for Peggy Thompson plus guests." All heads swiveled toward me. I stood perfectly still, my mind racing. I hadn't booked anything. "Well, this is a delightful surprise." A warm, familiar voice cut through the tension. Eleanor Price, a pillar of our community known for her philanthropy, glided into the hall. She waved at me as if we had planned this. My father's smug expression dissolved into pale shock. Eleanor walked straight to me, ignoring the main table completely. She pulled me into a gentle hug. "You look wonderful, dear," she said, loud enough for others to hear. "We'll catch up properly later. I have some very big news to share with you." She gave my arm a knowing squeeze before turning to greet a stunned donor. As soon as Eleanor moved away, my father's fingers dug into my elbow. He steered me roughly toward a potted plant. "What is this pathetic stunt?" he hissed, his face contorted with anger. "Embarrassing me at my own event? Scheming for attention?" I tried to pull my arm back. "I didn't do anything, Dad. I haven't spoken to Eleanor in months." "Don't lie to me," he spat. "This is exactly like you. Floating through life with no real achievements, then crying when you're not handed everything." His words were old, familiar knives. "Your little art projects and volunteer gigs are hobbies, Peggy, not a career." My younger brother, Mason, appeared at our father's shoulder. "Dad's right," he said, echoing the family script. "You're always playing the victim instead of just doing something meaningful." Valerie joined the circle, her voice a sugary poison. Now, let's not cause a bigger scene. Peggy just doesn't understand how these things work." The three of them formed a wall of judgment. I felt the old urge to shrink, to apologize for existing. But something held firm inside me. Instead of arguing, I looked at each of them, shook my head softly, and turned. I walked away from my family and took the only available seat, a small, isolated table in the far corner. The humiliating whispers followed me. I kept my chin up, focusing on my napkin. Then, Eleanor Price returned to the microphone. "If I could have your attention again," she began, smiling. "I have a personal announcement. After 20 years, I am stepping down from leading the Price Community Foundation." A murmur of surprise rippled through the crowd. "And I am thrilled to name my successor for the new leadership initiative." She paused, her eyes finding mine across the room. "The role will go to Peggy Thompson." Gasps echoed. My own breath caught in my throat. The entire banquet hall seemed to tilt. A chair screeched. My father was on his feet, his face purple with rage. "Eleanor, with respect, this is absurd," he blurted out, interrupting the moment. The room went dead quiet. "Peggy is not capable of such responsibility. She's never stuck to anything substantial in her life. She floats from one half-finished idea to the next." He spoke as if I weren't there, dismantling me in front of everyone. The humiliation was absolute. Valerie nodded along solemnly. Eleanor let him finish, her expression calm. Then she leaned toward her microphone. "Richard," she said, her voice cool and clear. "Maybe you don't know your daughter as well as I do." Her words unlocked a flood of memories. I was 18 again, packing a single suitcase while my father yelled that I'd fail. I remembered the years of waitressing and office temp work, saving every penny. I saw my tiny apartment after I left my ex-husband, starting over with nothing but debt. And I remembered the food pantry where I'd quietly volunteered every Sunday for 3 years. It was run by a nonprofit Eleanor often funded. She'd visited once, asking thoughtful questions. We'd spoken about community needs. I never imagined she remembered. I had kept that part of my life separate, a secret garden I nurtured away from my family's criticism. Back in the present, Eleanor gestured for me to join her in the cordoned-off VIP section. I walked past the main table, feeling my father's furious gaze. I sat in the plush chair reserved for me. I didn't smile triumphantly, I just felt a deep, weary calm. My father refused to even look at the VIP area, choosing to stand angrily by his table instead of accepting the invitation to join us. As the first VIP course was served, Eleanor leaned close. "You handled that with incredible grace," she whispered. Then she discreetly slid a thick, sealed envelope onto my lap. "Don't open this here. Read it later when you're alone." During a lull, I followed Eleanor into a quiet hallway lined with event posters. "You must have questions," she said. "I've watched your work at the pantry, Peggy. You don't just show up, you see what's needed and you do it. You organized the tutoring program. You convinced local businesses to donate. That's real leadership." Her praise felt foreign and overwhelming. "Why me?" I finally asked. "There are so many qualified people." Eleanor's smile faded slightly. "Because you are the most resilient person I know. And the board agrees." Well, she corrected herself, most of the board agreed. We did face some, last-minute opposition. "Opposition?" I asked. Eleanor sighed, pulling out her phone. She showed me an email chain sent to the foundation's board members just days prior. The sender was my father's personal email. My eyes scanned the words, each one a blow. Concerned about Peggy's instability, history of unreliable behavior, not suited for serious responsibility, could damage the foundation's reputation, he had systematically lied to sabotage me. The betrayal was so cold, so calculated. It wasn't just tonight's cruelty, it was a planned destruction of my future. I leaned against the wall, the air knocked from my lungs. A storm of pain and anger raged inside me. I wanted to march back in and scream the truth at him. But I saw the trap. A public meltdown would only prove his point about me being unstable. I took several deep breaths. "I need time," I told Eleanor, my voice surprisingly steady. "Before I give you my final answer about the position." She nodded with understanding. "Of course." I walked to the restroom, locked myself in a stall, and with trembling hands, opened the envelope she had given me. Inside were official documents from the Community Impact Grant Committee. My name was listed as the top-ranked candidate from 2 years ago, recommended for a $50,000 grant to start a community arts workshop. A handwritten note from a committee member was paper-clipped to it. "We were so disappointed you withdrew your application. Your proposal was the most innovative we'd seen." I never withdrew. I had submitted it through the local community center's coordinator, a man named Ben who played golf with my father every week. I'd called him for weeks, and he'd claimed the committee just wasn't interested. He had lied. My father had made sure I never knew. The hurt crystallized into something solid and sharp, resolve. I splashed water on my face, stood straight, and walked back into the banquet hall. My posture was different. My steps were sure. I returned to the VIP table, acknowledging people's curious glances with a small, polite nod. I could see my father watching me from across the room, his confusion evident. He expected tears, retreat. He did not expect this calm composure. Then the host, Lena, took the microphone again. VIP guests, please ensure you've checked in with the reservation holder, Ms. Thompson, to receive your gift bags and vintage wine pairings. A ripple of awkwardness moved through my father's table. The VIP perks were famous, limited edition gifts, a sommelier's tasting, premium dishes. Valerie coveted status above all else. She whispered urgently to my father, her eyes darting toward the elegant gift bags being arranged. My brother Mason looked annoyed. They had a choice, swallow their pride or miss out on the very privileges they felt entitled to. After a tense minute, Richard stood up. He straightened his suit jacket and marched toward the VIP section with a stiff, unnatural gait. He stopped at the velvet rope, his expression sour. "Peggy. We need to talk." I excused myself and met him in a quieter corner near the kitchen doors. He didn't wait. "You have thoroughly embarrassed this family tonight," he began, as if reading from a script where he was the victim. "This childish game ends now." I let him finish. Then I reached into my small clutch and pulled out the printed email chain Eleanor had shown me. I handed it to him without a word. His eyes darted across the page. His bluster vanished, replaced by a slow dawning panic. The color drained from his face. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. For the first time in my life, my father was speechless. "You don't get to sabotage me and then blame me for existing," I said, my voice low and even. "I won't expose this tonight. Not for you. For me. I deserve a peaceful night." I took the paper back from his limp hand. "But understand this, you don't get access to me anymore. Not to my life, not to my career, not to my heart. We're done." I turned to leave. Valerie was hiding behind a large floral arrangement, having heard everything. Her eyes were wide with pure fear, not for me, but for herself. She scurried after me, grabbing my wrist. "Peggy, wait. Please, we're family," she pleaded, her sweetness gone, replaced by desperation. "You know my annual charity gala is next month. The entire committee relies on you. The planning, the vendor contacts. I can't do it without you." For years, I had single-handedly organized her glamorous event while she took all the credit. It was the one useful thing I was allowed to do. I gently pried her fingers from my arm. "I'm sure you'll figure it out, Valerie," I said calmly. "I won't be available." Mason stormed over, his face flushed. "What did you do to Mom? The gala is imploding. The caterer just called her because you were their main contact." It was true. I had built the relationships, negotiated the contracts. They enjoyed the spotlight but never did the work. "That sounds like a problem for your event committee," I replied. I saw the dawning horror on their faces, the realization that my quiet support had been the foundation holding their social prestige together. I offered no solution, no lifeline. I simply smiled politely and walked back to my seat, leaving them in a panicked huddle. Eleanor met me at the table. "The board members here tonight are impressed," she said quietly. "They'd like your answer before the evening ends. They need a strong, decisive leader." I looked at her, then at the anxious cluster of my family, and finally at the kind, expectant faces of the foundation board. The choice was clear. "I accept," I said. "But I want to implement a new grant review process, transparent and blind, so no one's child can be sabotaged again." Eleanor beamed. "Agreed. Now, there's something else. About who actually reserved this VIP section tonight." "It wasn't me," Eleanor revealed. "It was reserved by a private donor, Arthur Bell. He's a longtime benefactor who prefers anonymity. He heard about your anonymous work coordinating the winter coat drive that served over 500 families. He insisted on meeting you. This VIP setup was his request." My mind reeled. That drive had been exhausting, done late at night after my day job. I'd told no one in my family. "He wants you to spearhead a new project," Eleanor continued. "A full community redevelopment plan for the old industrial district. It's a multi-million-dollar initiative. We returned to the main hall for the scheduled speeches. My father took the microphone for his retirement tribute. His voice lacked its usual booming confidence. He stumbled over his words. Guests were distracted, whispering about the earlier drama and glancing at the VIP section. Valerie tried to schmooze a donor, who politely excused themselves to talk to someone else. Mason sat glowering, ignoring his wife. Their picture-perfect family facade had cracked wide open, and everyone could see the hollow interior. As my father finished his weak speech, a local news reporter walked straight past him and approached me. "Miss Thompson?" "I'm Nina from the Tribune," the reporter said. "We'd love a quick comment about the Price Foundation's exciting new direction with you at the helm." I saw my father's stunned expression from the stage. I gave a humble, concise interview about the importance of grassroots work and community collaboration. I praised Eleanor's legacy and expressed hope for the future. I never mentioned my father, the seat, or the sabotage. The reporter smiled, then asked one final, pointed question. "Off the record, just for my understanding, how did it feel earlier, when you were initially denied a seat at the main table?" I paused, choosing my words with care. I spoke clearly, my voice carrying in the now quiet room. "It was a reminder," I said. "Sometimes the table you're denied isn't your table, because a better one is waiting for you." For a second, there was silence. Then, applause erupted, starting from the VIP section and spreading through the hall. It was warm, genuine, and it was for me. My father looked small and confused on the edge of the dance floor, his big night utterly overshadowed. The symbolic justice was perfect. He had valued the main table as the ultimate prize. He never understood I was building my own. As the event ended, he intercepted me by the doors. His eyes were red-rimmed. "Peggy," he said, his voice rough. I may have been harsh. Let's not let this divide the family." I saw it instantly, the calculation. This wasn't remorse, it was damage control. He needed my newfound influence to repair his own ruined standing. I felt a final piece of childhood hope break and fall away. "I wish you well in your retirement, Dad," I said, my tone final and peaceful. "But I'm done shrinking for you." I turned and walked out of the grand heights into the cool night air. Eleanor fell into step beside me, discussing first steps for the project. I didn't look back. I stepped into my future, not granted, not given, but built by my own two hands.